All right. This is your complete Sundered Doctrine guide. We're going to break down all three encounters. I'm breaking down the first, second, and third, and I'm going to break it down as I watch through my VOD of me clearing it. So I'll go in and out of audio so that way you can hear my actual live comms and we can get each and every detail so that way you can do this right here and clear the boss either in contest or out of contest because the mechanics will work the exact same. So let's start from the very beginning. We have our first encounter and all of its mechanics accordingly. So here we are, first encounter. So the first thing you'll have to understand when you go in here is that the beam of light in the middle is what activates the encounter. You start it, it spins it around, and it shoots the light through. The light can bounce off different angles, and you can see there's a wall on the back there. Now on my side right there, a Grim spawned, and you can see one of the vow symbols was there. That symbol is going to be called worship. Okay, if you're not familiar with the vow symbols, I would refreshen yourself up on those. And they're not too complicated, so once you learn them and your teammates know them, it's pretty easy to call it out. Only one of those Grims spawns in though, and by having that Grim spawn in, you'll know exactly which one you're trying to activate. So inside one of the rooms that we're in, there's 4 in total, and there's obviously 3 people on our team. There will be that symbol there, and so that's where we're going to direct the light beam towards, right? So you're going to start in the middle, direct the light beam towards it. Now, how do you direct the light beam? How do you take the initial one that you started and interacted with and direct it towards the proper room? Well, right here you have the lens bearer. You kill this guy, okay? He's one of the dread enemies, right? One of the subjugators. And in doing so, I can pick up a lens. You can see that buff on my screen. And I can put the lens into one of those empty sockets, and then the light will reflect off of it. So going back to the middle there, you can see the light beam in the middle has been activated and turned through there, and another lens needs to be deposited. You can see my teammate there, Dwayne, depositing that lens, and every time you deposit it, you can shift it one of 3 angles. So it starts in the middle, the beam of light is going out, and then you can make it go like left, middle, or right? It's not too complicated. You just start at the beginning and you sort of work your way towards the back room, towards the appropriate room that you need to go towards. And you know which room you need to go towards because the Grim dropped that symbol, and it will guarantee drop it in one of the 4 rooms, okay? You can continuously keep picking up more lenses. You can't pick up any more than 1 total. They don't stack, but having 1 on you at any given time is really helpful because you may need more than 3 to connect them. So there's different routes in order to get the lens into the back rooms. Some routes are more efficient than others. Obviously, as you do the encounter more, you'll understand the different angles and the different hallways that the light will travel through, and then you'll be able to get the appropriate one done. After you've completed 1 wave of this, as you can see there, it restarts you over from the beginning. Yay, so much fun. And now what you have to do is connect 2 beams of light. So there's 3 in the initial starting area, and you'll start off with 1, and you'll have to redirect that one back to the proper symbol, and then do it a second time. And I bet you can guess what you'll have to do for the 3rd wave, right? I'm sure you can figure it out. It's 3 lights, right? Spoiler, it's 3 lights. You connect all 3 lights to the proper symbols, okay? And it's the Grim that drop and lets you know which symbols to connect them to. So that's how we're able to do this. I obviously have my build, my Titan build here, my Consecration build. I talked a little bit about this before the dungeon, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel with notifications on, because I'm always giving you that information. There's no gatekeeping around here. As soon as I figure out something epic in Destiny 2, the first thing I want to do is share it with you. And so I'll also bring you a video at the end of this. I'll bring some details at the end of this showing you which build I used and going through everything. If you're interested, because after you watch this gameplay, you'll probably be thinking to yourself, damn, I really want to use that Titan build. As you can see there, I killed one of the Grims, and it had the worm on it. You can call it the snake. There's a few different things that call it. I'm not sure what the actual official, Bungie.net website call it is, but I take the lens there and I call it to my teammates that there's the red snake there, or the S snake, the worm, whatever it is, right? Call that out to your teammates so that way they know which one to connect it to. And then we can go back to the middle, and then you begin, refracting the beams towards that direction. And so you kind of have an idea of which way it needs to go because there's 4 rooms, right? There's 2 on the left and there's 2 on the right. And so it's going to be one of those 4 rooms, and you can start directing the light in that general direction. There's not a ton of misdirection. You're not like taking the light and beaming it backwards and then all the way around the outer edge of the room. That will be for later on in the dungeon, and we'll get to that later when we get to the more advanced mechanics and areas. But for this one right here, they keep it pretty simple. It's just getting that beam of light there. So Now I'll give a listen in to this. This was our first clear as we go through it, and you can hear what we were going through with the mechanics and everything before we go on to the next part. To make sure that I didn't miss any details, because obviously I want you to know. This is the beginning of the third phase now. We did the first one successfully. We did the second one successfully. So now we need to do the third phase.
This is more than enough time.
Look at the grim.
What's it called?
I don't have one over here.
I didn't have one.
No idea.
Sound like I said. Oh, you did? Okay.
It's a pyramid. It's not mine.
1 sec. I'm buying Lucky's sub.
Pyramid is me.
Okay.
So you can see that they said the call. They said Dwayne's. No one said they had the call. No one killed the Grim. So we were like, "Where's the Grim? We have to check all 4 rooms." And then they called out the pyramid. Dwayne found out where the Grim was. He killed it, and then he said it was the pyramid, and that's on me. So I know that we're gonna take the light from the beginning, the one that activates at the start, and we're gonna redirect it towards that back room where I'm at. You could number the rooms 1, 2, 3, and 4. I would highly recommend that. That way you have some systematized order to where you're going every single round. You want the same people to go into the same rooms and understand the paths by which the light go, and also to have just, you know, a lot more organization, right? So you can see there, we're redirecting the beam of light. Now that we know exactly which room to go into, I knew it was mine because it was called out darkness. I can see darkness is on the back wall there. That's how I know which one is mine. Each of the 4 rooms will have a symbol just like that on the back wall. So if you're wondering how we know which room is ours, it's on the back wall. So it'll let you know. And then obviously you can see there, I can demonstrate I'm rotating these different pillars, and this allows me to angle it exactly towards the back wall. So that way when my teammate comes in, you can do one of 2 things. You can place a lens inside of it, and then alternatively you can rotate it. So that way the light goes in the proper direction. Obviously if it's facing in the improper direction, that's not going to help. And one thing you need to figure out, that we figured out the hard way, is that if you were to rotate a lens that's earlier on in the chain, that it would kill the lenses following afterwards. So whatever you do, start off going the right general direction, or at least if you do, just keep going and making progress that way. Because if you take away a lens or rotate a lens earlier on in the chain of sequence, it takes out all the previous ones and can potentially ruin your run there. And what happened with us in this one is that I saw on run number 2 that the lens could go to the left, and it could be connected from the middle all the way to the back room, the back left room, in 3 connections. And on the 3rd run here though, it wasn't going the same direction, so I was wondering if I could rotate it. And after I rotated it, my teammate had placed a lens 1 further, so we were panicking for a moment. They were like, oh no, now we have to go kill 2 more subjugators and get 2 more lenses. It didn't end up wiping us for this run, but it could wipe you potentially, so just be mindful in your progress, how you're pushing through this encounter. So let's give another listen in there. I can see the Witch Queen symbol there, and I call that out to my teammates.
1 coming. I have my lens.
I got my lens. There is the wipe timer there as well. Keep in mind, each wave of it has an extended wipe timer, so at 2.5 minutes, it's over. You have to connect all the lenses before then. There's a fast route for this one we just did last time.
Okay, we have 2 full minutes. Let's just take our time here.
Do the fast route, what we did last time.
We have 2 minutes. Take our time.
I remember what it was. It was here.
Okay.
It's here. Yeah, so right there, it connected there, and then that one actually went to the left on wave number 2, but this time it was turning to the right. So I was very confused. I was like, why did it go that way this time? And so I thought I could rotate it one more time and it would go to the left. But now you see my teammate actually put one there and it was redirecting the wrong way. So I was like, oh, maybe I can turn it and help, but I shouldn't have done that. And I realized now that was a mistake. And thankfully we had 1.5 minutes left to recover it, but that was definitely an error on my part. But thankfully you watching this, you can learn from my errors and not make these mistakes, so that way you can get it cleared out and you'll understand that, you know, don't ever break the chain. No matter what, once you start going one direction, just keep going that way. For example, sometimes it'll take 3 lenses to go from the middle to the end. Sometimes it'll take 4. Sometimes it might even take 5. It just depends on the route. Some routes are more efficient, less efficient, and you'll know which route to take later on, but right now you don't know. So you just got to keep going, and you'll make it with time. I think I'm pretty confident that as long as you stay sharp and have some solid builds. We had 2 consecration melee titans here, and we were able to quickly melt 2 subjugators and fix that one. We just got the light beam connected there, so we got it connected back there. He had to put a new lens in that one, trying to clear all of the enemies here, and then it connected all the way back to the beginning, and then that's all 3 successfully connected just like that. And that completes the encounter. You can see the timer pauses there. We have 53 seconds to spare, so no need to panic there. At that point in time, the loot chest opens, you grab it, and then you wander through a relatively short and not that crazy maze. And I gave you an explanation at the end of this because I was in the middle of it, so we'll skip forward to the next encounters. Jumping to encounter number 2 now, we're going to give you a breakdown of the mechanics. First things first, the team composition: 1 Titan, 2 Warlocks, Cenotaph Mask on the Warlocks, Titan, Consecration Melee build. You already know the deal. So what I did was we had 1 teammate left, middle, and right. I'm on the right side. You should do the same. And the reason why is because you'll initially start up and there'll be wizards that you need to kill. Now, killing each wizard will drop a little black pillar on the ground. And if you pick up 1, you'll get 1 of the buffs. And if you pick up 2, it'll stack on top of that. You'll have 2, and you'll pick up a 3rd one and get 3, and that's the maximum one. What that does is you can walk over to that pillar there, as you can see next to the circle, and you can deposit them, and it will move the lighted object over 1, 2, or 3 based on the number you picked up. So right here, you'll see that I end up hitting this wizard here. I step over it, I get heightened knowledge, and heightened knowledge gives me 1 stack. I step over a second one, I get brimming knowledge, and I get a 2nd stack. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted to come over here and deposit 2 to land on the square there. Landing on the square is the stop, which reduces the number of spawns of wizards. At least that was our understanding of it, and it seems to do that because normally the wizards would spawn significantly more frequently. So we started off with stop, so we just had less wizards. After that, we decided to go with the Vegas one. Is sometimes people call it that. Also, they call it commune. It's like a green triangle with like a beam of light coming out of the top of it. So there's the lock set progression at the top here. You can see that blue bar that's progressing, and that timer is going off for the first one. So I wanted to get that deposit in before, so now it's just locked in, right? So the first lock set is in, and now you can see the stop sign has appeared on that first wall there. You can see the big symbol there, and that's because I moved the highlighted object, the highlighted symbol on my wheel over 2 to land on stop. It could land on any one of those 5 symbols. The symbols are brain, kill, stop, like we talked about, commune, and hive. Okay, and they all have different functionality, and we're going to break down exactly what they do and why you would want to choose one over the other one. But first thing we need to mention is that there are these crazy ogre waves inside contests. These are extremely difficult. If you ever do this in a challenging, if they have like master version of this or whatever, these guys are tough. This wave is very difficult to deal with, so make sure you take it very seriously. These guys will run you over, especially in contests. These guys were the cause of many wipes. They just hit you with that ogre blast and you're done for. So the ogre's wave would spawn in. It seemed randomly. We were wondering if there was a mechanic or something we did faulty to cause that to happen. There's nothing that we could figure out that caused that, because it was sometimes we would do the exact same pattern every time, right? And sometimes the ogres would spawn in on the 2nd wave, sometimes the 3rd, sometimes the 4th, sometimes not at all. And so we were just like, I guess, it is what it is. So there you can see we're continuing to progress. We do the square in the first one, and then the second one we did commune, and then the 3rd one we did commune, and then for the 4th one we put in the kill one. The kill one is what activates the timer, and you put that one in and you'll get an extended timer. So we had to stop, commune, and then kill, and then now it's going to go to damage right here. And so now we're in our first damage cycle. You'll see a well goes down. I'm throwing my Void Titan super at them for the debuff, my Twilight Arsenal, and then I'm going to light them up with Sleeper, and they close periodically. When they close, you should look over to a different one to do some damage to them, because they close for like 2 seconds and waste your damage. And so Sleeper is really solid damage. I swapped my loadouts, as you can see there, from a build that didn't have any surges to a build that had 3. And the reason why is so that way I do even more Sleeper damage, so we could get it done in 3 waves, because you only get 3 waves before it goes enraged and completely wipes you. So you have to put in some serious damage each damage wave. And you can do so by putting in the commune, which supposedly extends the timer. I'm not exactly sure if that's accurate, but that's what everyone told us, and it seemed to do that from what we tested. Obviously, we haven't done extremely thorough testing at this point in time because, this is day 1 of it, but this worked for us, and it worked for so many other teams, so I'm assuming that is the exact right way of doing it. So now we just continue to do as much damage as we can. You can see there we got all the way down to the E in the name, so that means we have 2 more damage phases to finish this off, and we're pretty much set up. Like, we're going to clear as long as we get the ammo, and we're getting the ammo because we have 2 warlocks with Cenotaph that are marking targets, and then they're able to swap over to Aeons, and by swapping to Aeons, they can hit the finisher on the marked targets and get double power bricks. This is a strategy that's been used for quite some time now, and it's really, really powerful, especially when you have a boss that's like a bullet sponge and you need more power ammo. And so this is one of those encounters in like a contest where that's necessary. So Cenotaph with Aeon swapping is a really powerful strategy. So you might want that. 2 Warlocks doing that, and then 1 Titan doing this. Again, not completely necessary though. As you can see, our damage is a bit overkill. We could probably get away with not doing that because of, you know, you can see how much damage we did with that. If we ran out of power ammo in our 2nd and 3rd phase, we might still get it done, but we wanted to be safe and make sure we got it done. So we chose to put 2 Warlocks on that. Now, after we've done our damage, everything restarts from the beginning. It goes all over again, but it's much more chaotic this time because the ads are all there. They're out of control. And so you have to pay attention to where the stop is. Now you'll notice there that Brain came up on the first wall there, and you might be thinking, Lucky, you said you needed to put stop on the first wall. We did. We wanted to put stop on the first wall, and this is going to happen to you where it's so chaotic that you're not able to get up there in time and get those deposits in and rotate that symbol, that random symbols are going to come up on the wall, and some of them are worse than others. The Brain one means that more wizards spawn in because they're the ones that give you the knowledge, right? They give you the knowledge buff and the heightened knowledge buff, brimming with knowledge buff, all of that. So now, because Brain came up, you're gonna see so many more. Look at all the wizards that are here now. There's a wizard on the right, there's a wizard in the middle, there's wizards everywhere. So that's why we chose to put stop up first, because we're like, we don't want to deal with all these wizards. And so, but unfortunately we didn't get there in time, so it auto landed on Brain, creating more wizards. Now what you really don't want to happen is you don't want to land on Hive, because I think that's more ogres, and we talked about how ridiculously powerful they are. Right there you see I went for the deposit so we could get it down in time, and in the process I got killed by the bees. The bees came after me and killed me there, so that's 1 death on me throughout this run. And now continue on, be careful of those bees. I could have thrown my stasis nade to block them, and probably should have, or I could have waited until after they were shot and then maybe got that deposit off, but didn't work out for me that time. Bees killed me. So we go Brain, and then we try to go after that commune, and then stop, and then kill. So that's going to be our target goal. We may not be able to pull it off though, because the ads are so out of control, because we've ran out of ammo now, right? I was rocking double special, and I had my special sidearm that has incandescent on it. It's blowing stuff up. Much more powerful, especially on my sidearm, than a staccato here, but I ran out of ammo with my double special, so had to swap over to the staccato, and now we're lighting things up with primary, so the ad clear is not nearly as efficient as it was before. So this is a problem that you're going to have at times, potentially, unless you're on top of it or have better ammo spawn than me. You see there, we got Brain, we got commune down, and now we're trying to kill this knight. I was telling them to mark this target, and that way we could get that ammo. We're cycling through all the different symbols, okay? And the timer, as you can see there at the top, the lock set progression, it just keeps going no matter what. It has an exact cadence to it. There's no way of like stopping it or finalizing it. It's basically just the encounter is timed like that. The way you can sort of speed it up, the progression, is by putting in the symbol kill. Whenever you do that, it's go time. So as you can see there, we put in kill. We had gotten all the symbols that we wanted. It was time to go for kill. Now we're getting set up and ready to go here. So we're getting ready for the damage phase. There's like a moment of just like silence, not a whole lot going on. We're sort of chilling here, waiting. And sometimes randomly ads would spawn in here, so we were a little bit hesitant. Yeah, like this, we're like, oh, we thought it was damage time. Psych. Ads spawning in behind us, so be mindful of that. The backside spawn, those weavers are really lethal too, especially they'll just one-shot you with a shotgun. So be extra mindful and extra careful of that. We're also being aware that we may or may not have enough wells at the time, so we want to make sure we have at least 1 well, and then the other guy has enough super energy to get the 2nd well, because you will need 2 if you're trying to do this in contests. If you're trying to do it outside of contests, it's not entirely necessary. I think you'll be able to get it done with various different builds. You don't have to min-max nearly as much as we did in contests. Now you can see the lock set progressions going through. We're about to get onto our 2nd damage phase. The damage phase is going to be very similar. Triple sleepers, right? We should have max ammo due to Cenotaph and due to Aeons. I throw my Twilight Arsenal there. That's our debuff. And then we're just going to town with the sleepers. Light them up as much as we possibly can. The crit is dead center of the eye. Like I said, when it closes, it's either a chance to reload or it's a chance to go and shoot a different eye. So you can decide which one you want to do with that. Myself personally, I was just taking a moment to reload if I had to, and then if it closed and I had some shots left, I would shoot and aim at another eye. Just depends on the situation. It's also reloading in part due to the particle reconstruction mod in the artifact, so it's the last column mod, You only would have unlocked that if you did bounties before this season, just saying. Not trying to promote bounty farming too much, but because it's not my favorite practice ever, but it definitely pays off. We did a bunch of bounty farming, and we talked about that before the season, and so that's why we were able to unlock that really powerful mod and get this beat inside contest. Is it possible to beat this without particle reconstruction? Absolutely. Absolutely possible. Is it going to be more difficult? Yes, it's definitely going to be more difficult, but still possible. So keep that in mind. Nothing's impossible. That mod is just really, really powerful. So that's our second damage phase. You can see that the damage phase lasts forever. It's still going on right now, and I'm able to swap my loadout. Now I've swapped my loadout to this, and the damage phase is still going. Like, the shield's not up. The shield just now came up. That's how long the damage phase is. It goes on for a long, long time. So that could have been an opportunity for us to have a third well down there. We could have probably put a third well down. So 3 warlocks, potential strategy for you guys out there if you're wondering, if you want to just get like optimized DPS. When you run out of ammo with all your weapons, what you should do is swap to Outbreak Perfected. I had a third loadout that I don't think I ever needed to swap to because we had double Cenotaph and Aeons, but if we completely ran out of ammo, the third loadout is Outbreak Perfected, so that way we can just spam primary ammo. And honestly, if we did that, we probably could have got it done in 2 phases. So just saying, 3 warlock strat probably gets it done in 2 phases. If you have sleepers on and particle reconstruction, you probably get it done in 2. But if you don't, 3 warlocks definitely gets it done in 3, 100%. Even if you don't have particle reconstruction, you can get it done with 3. With 3 warlocks, I think so, in my opinion. Now we're on to our third and final phase here. We're doing everything the exact same, right? We got the lockstep progression pushing. We're trying to get stop on the back wall. In this third phase, you saw that back there, the square was there, so we were able to get the symbol placed on the wheel to highlight the different one. As you can see there, brain is highlighted on the 4th one, so we're gonna obviously have to adjust that. Now as it goes, each lockstep progression, it adjusts the wheel in and of itself, so it kind of throws you off if you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, brain is exactly a few away from kill. Like it's kill is 2 to the left on brain right there. If you look back at the VOD right there, well, then that means we need to get 2. You know, I got heightened knowledge, that's 1, so I kill 1 more wizard, but it's going to keep adjusting over and over again, so don't worry about it. So as you can see there, it just adjusted right now, and it went 1 more to the left, and so now it's 1 closer to kill. So technically speaking, I could deposit my heightened knowledge in that 4th one, put it on kill, and then we go to the final damage phase here. And I think that's what we end up doing in just a moment here. We're impatient. We don't want to die. We've been in this encounter long enough. We just want to clear it and get through. This ogre's absolutely blasting me here too. They're trying to get me to kill it to drop ammo, and I'm like, ugh. I'm just sitting here barely surviving. So now we've got our last bit of damage here. And again, I'll give you a breakdown of my Titan build at the end. If you're wondering, I'll show you my character inside Destiny 2, so that way you know exactly what I'm working with. My staccato has explosive payload and shoot to loot on it, and there's a reason why I put that on, so I can shoot all this ammo from a safe distance, not have to go down there and die, get hit by all those bees again that killed me already once, and then I can maximize my ammo and get ready for this last damage phase. Obviously, we don't need that much ammo. You can see how much health there is. We'll probably get it done without. We don't go to our usual spot because we were low on wells. We had just placed one down, and we were nervous that the second well wouldn't come up in time. So we don't want to die up there in that very dangerous zone. The reason why it's very dangerous at the end of that bridge there is because the ogres spawn on the left and right of you. And so if you crouch and hug one of those walls, you can kind of dodge them. Sometimes, not always, but be mindful of that. So we decided to stay in the back of the stairs here. I throw my super for the debuff like usual, and we're just going to light them up with sleeper. We know that their health is pretty low and that we'll probably get it done in time. We also know that the ads like to spawn right behind us, so I'm paying very close attention to my radar, making sure that when that ad spawn does come in, I'm going to hit them with that consecration melee, so that way they get cleared immediately, because I don't want my teammates to die. I don't want any funny business happening right here, because the bees plus those ads shooting you will kill all 3 of you out of the well, by the way. So it may have seemed unnecessary in that moment, but it's definitely necessary. We don't want to die with the boss having 1 sliver of health. Comment down below if you've ever died when the boss had 1 sliver of health inside a dungeon or a raid. If that's ever been your experience, you understand that pain. And I wasn't going to let it happen there. I made sure that all those ads got cleared. So hopefully that is a thorough explanation. As you can see here, I go through and explain it in the actual video. So if you want to watch that video, it's also up. You can see all the different wheels and how they work. Keep in mind too that the little dial in the middle is spinning either clockwise or counterclockwise, and you can shoot the symbol above it and you can change the rotation of it. The symbol is not there anymore because the encounter is over, but normally it's spinning one way or the other. And so, for example, if you need to take a symbol and highlight one that's one to the left and it's spinning clockwise, right? Switch the direction and then deposit it, right? Or maybe you need to go 3 to the right and it's going to the left, well, then spin it, and you can spin it, change the direction so that way you can get them deposited properly. And that's exactly how to beat the second encounter. Hopefully find this helpful. We're going to jump forward to the third encounter now and give you a full breakdown of killing the final boss, because it can be a little bit confusing, and I'm going to try and give it to you in as much concise breakdown as possible, okay? So let's start here from the very beginning. All right, so this is the final boss encounter right here. And Queen Breaker is so good. 1 div plus 2 Queen Breaker is a winning strategy in my opinion, and you want the Queen Breaker with Catalyst, and you want to put it on the 3-round burst mode, okay? Now, as far as team composition, doesn't really matter as much here. You do want like 1 well. Other than that, really use whatever you like. 1 well is just really good. So you'll see there's 6 symbols that are lit up in the middle there. They're not always lit up. Some are sometimes lit up and not lit up. And what they tell is a story. From top to bottom, they'll tell a story. And the 3 symbols will tell something like this, like Savathun, kill the witness, right? So it'll be the symbol for Savathun, and it'll be the symbol for kill, and then the symbol for witness. And so you have to decide, is that true or not, right? Another one was like the traveler gives to the guardian, right? So there's a bunch of different ones that are options of what. And so basically just based on the lore or your understanding of the lore, even if you're not a lore expert, you know, you can gauge whether or not that's true. And the one that's true, right? So if it was like what was it? The pyramid gives darkness, right? That one's true. Then you want to light up the one that's the lie. So you want to light up the opposite one. So 3 of them need to be lit up and the other 3 need to be not lit up. Right, so if that makes it any sense to you. At the start, they were all 3 lit up though, so you might think all 6 were lit up. So you might think, well, how do I unlight them? Well, there's 3 rooms. There's the middle room that you start in, and then there's the room on the left, and there's a room on the right. You go into them, and as you can see, the light beams are connecting to the respective symbols, and you need to either connect or disconnect the proper ones to light up the 3 lies of that story. So you might think to yourself, well, what if I'm not a lore expert? What if I don't understand the story of Destiny 2? This is going to be really difficult for me. Well, thankfully, there's also a secondary mechanic in this where the Grim will die like it did in the first one, and it will drop one of the symbols, okay? So the Grim will die and it'll drop one of the symbols, and that symbol will be the indicator to you of which one to pick, okay? So just keep that in mind. The Grim will drop the symbol. And the symbol of the one that the Grim drops, I believe, is the lie. I could be wrong. Like, I have to double check that. If I'm wrong, I'll put a pinned comment down below, because we didn't actually end up needing to use that, because we could kind of tell the story from right here. Let me go back here real quick, and I'll give you an idea of what we got here. So I'll pause it right here so I can explain as I aim at the symbol here. So we got the Guardian, okay, worships the witness, right? So this is the symbol for Guardian, and this is the symbol for worship, and this is the symbol for witness. So according to the lore of the story of Destiny, do Guardians worship the witness? No, the Guardians do not worship the witness. So that is a lie, right? So that's a lie. So that means we need to light up those 3 sides right there. Now on the other side, it says, you know, the darkness, the pyramid was this, the pyramid gives darkness, right? It's got the pyramid ship giving the darkness. And so that is going to be the truth. So the darkness does come from the pyramid ship. So one is a truth and one is a lie. And so remember, we're lighting up these sides. So these 3 are lit up. So we've successfully done this side already. We don't want to disconnect any of the laser beams. But on the other side, you can see that give and darkness are lit up. So we need to go into those rooms wherever they're at. They could be in the left, the middle, or the right. And we need to disrupt the connecting light to them. So that way these 3 are not lit up. After that's done, there's a connecting point right here that will activate right there. So you just walk up to a pillar. Okay. So now let's continue on with this. We're pushing forward. We're going to go down low. Okay. You get the buff so you can remove the strand lock on it from the enemies down here. There are different scions down here. They're the Weaver scions. So there's Thrall that spawn in, and just here in a moment, some of these scions will spawn in. There they are. They're called Unwritten Attendants. You shoot them, and you can see I get a buff, Unwritten Empowerment. When I have that buff, I need to shoot the strand of locks off of the light there. As you see, one of my teammates has already done that. So now we can redirect that light and take the light off of the appropriate symbols, okay? Be careful there. I just walked right past the boss. That's dangerous business. He has like a really powerful stomp, makes you one shot and suspends you. So basically, you're gonna die if you walk past the boss. Try not to go past the boss. To go into that room right there, you have to step on the symbol. On the other side, you have to shoot the wall. So keep in mind, you'll want a weapon like a primary weapon. I purposely put on the multi-monk for this, and I recommend having something similar to that. So now we're jump into this room. As soon as you get in here, there's going to be a subjugator waiting for you in both the left and the right hand side of the room. So we already did the left side. This is the right side, as left and right based on when you walk into this room, right? And so now that we've killed them, now we need to disconnect. Remember, we're trying to disconnect the symbol to darkness, which was down below there. You can see the light beam is beaming down into the hole right there. And that symbol down there is the darkness symbol. They're static symbols. They stay there in position at all times. So we need to move that light beam out of the way, so that way it's not reflecting that anymore. And once that's out of the way, then we'll be able to leave this room. So as you can see there, we got that shot there. The wall came up and it's blocking the symbol towards darkness there. So now that that's blocked, all of the symbols are correct. If we were to go to the plate right now, the 3 on the left would be lit up and the 3 on the right would be completely dark, okay? And because they're completely dark, just like as you can see there, 3 on the left lit up, 3 on the right dark, that means we can just interact with the node, and then we're going to go into our first damage phase. So I would recommend staying up top. We were previously going down below here, but as you can see, it's very dangerous staying alive. But when you go up top, there's like fire that's happening right now, and if you're in it, it's going to burn you. It's burning the boss's shields, as you can see, and if you're up there, it's going to burn you as well. So you have to hide in the shade. There's shade made available for you here, and there's shade made available for you up there. So pick which one you want to go to. I think up top is a better option though. So now we're here, we're gonna start to shoot the boss. We're gonna light him up with Queenbreaker plus Catalyst. Like I said, it's really, really powerful damage. I'm swapping to my damage loadout that has triple surges here. I should have swapped to that sooner, but I was down below and the ads were shooting me like crazy. And so I was just kind of panicking. I didn't want to like go into my menu and swap and then die and then, you know, cause a wipe on for my team. So I chose to do that up there. I get pulled by the boss there, which is super sketch. Whenever the boss pulls you, it's really good to have a missile titan on, so that way you can missile back. But if you don't have that on, then I guess, you know, good luck, you know, be careful. Just maneuver your way back as safely as possible. Now you can see 1 damage phase was done with 1 div and 2 queen breakers with catalyst. That's how much damage we did. And my damage was super scuffed. Remember, didn't have my surges on at the start. Got pulled off of the well halfway through the damage, and I didn't even use my Missile Titan. I have Behemoth on, so you can imagine that you could very easily get this done with a 2-phase, okay? It's going to be a very easy 2-phase. If you actually min-max things well, and, you know, it just isn't super unfortunate for you. So now you can see the next phase starts there, and we have to go look at the symbols, okay? So I'll rewind it here for a second so you can see what happens. So every time it restarts, and then again, you're going to have the lie or the truth here. So we'll go push up here, clear these ads. I'm going to push up. Okay. And then for a moment here, you can see the symbols. So we have, we've got the pyramid ship here. So the pyramids stop the Savathun, and then you've got the traveler, drinks from the worm. So this one was actually pretty confusing for us. This was actually quite difficult for us to figure out, but we didn't think that the traveler would drink from the worm, so we're like, that must be the lie. So we're gonna light up the right side, so you can kind of use like a coin toss, I guess, kind of mechanic, I suppose. But obviously once you have done the encounter enough, you'll know which all the truths and all the lies are. But there's a good idea. You'll have a good idea of what the truth is, what the lies are, because if you've paid attention to the story at all, you know how the difference between the traveler and the witness, and, you know, who worships what, right? You know, the traveler doesn't worship the guardian, you know what I'm saying? Like the guardian worships the traveler, right? And so if it says guardian worship traveler, you're gonna know like that's true, and so the other one must be a lie. So you can dissolve it 2 different ways. You can figure out which the truth is, or you can figure out which the lie is, and it's going to be one or the other. Shooting this door opens it. Be careful, that can wipe you, and it did wipe us several times. Shoot that door until it's completely open, and then proceed forward. Again, you enter into this side here, and the first thing you need to do is kill that subjugator. That guy is super lethal and will wreck your whole entire team if you mess around with him. So enter the room and kill him. We just went with a process of always going to the left room, the middle room, and the right room. But again, only go into the room that you need to go into. There's set symbols in each one, and you'll learn where they're at, like on the left room, according to when you place the rally banner again. The left room is going to have the Traveler in it, it has the Hive in it, and it has a few other different symbols in it. You can start the encounter and you can walk through and learn where they're all at. There's 4 in the left room. I believe there's 3 or 4 in the middle room, and then there's 4 in the right room. So just walk in and wipe a few times. Pay attention to where they're located. Like on the right room, there's the darkness symbol down below, like we talked about. Find out where they're all at. Like right there, that's the Traveler one. We're trying to light that one up. Okay. And then you'll be able to consistently get this done and clear this pretty easily. I really think that this encounter is not easy, but it's easier than the second encounter. The second encounter was absolutely brutal and a real DPS check type of thing. This one is difficult, but fun and creative and in its own way. So it wasn't too painful to beat this. Once we knew what to do, we beat it like the second try. So shooting the wall to completely open the door. Boss is waiting for us out here. We're gonna try and fly past him without getting stomped at all. Okay, now we're gonna push over to the right side. We need to finish this part. I'll let you listen in to the comms so that way you can hear what we're saying as we go through this.
It's like give and stop. He did this guy down here though. On me. Good. You go like all the way back, then there's nothing really back there. You need to live. Time should be up any second. Oh my god, dude, you gotta let me know if you're shooting. You need to tell me if you're shooting, please. So I call it out every time.
Killed the unwritten attendant. As you can see there, after I killed the attendant, I could break the locks there, and they create little strand enemies that chase you down, right? So be mindful of those guys. They'll try and kill you, and they're actually really, really powerful. So definitely shoot those guys. And after we did that, as you can see there, every time you kill the unwritten attendant, you get the buff Unwritten Empowerment. All you do with that is just break the strand locks that are on top of things. That's all. It's nothing that crazy. And you don't need to do that for every single object, so don't feel like you have to go around unlocking all the objects. You just need to unlock the objects that you need in order to truly highlight, the truth or the lies that are there. So be mindful of that. This guy, look at this guy. He wrecked me. He put his stasis down, and when he puts the stasis down, he does like a move where he breaks it all. It's ridiculously powerful. Just be careful of that. That guy is super lethal. So at this point in time, we did have 2 deaths, which is a little bit scary. You know, you don't want to have too many deaths because, you know, you'd only get a certain number of revive tokens when you're in contest mode. If you're not in contest mode, then obviously you'll have like infinite revives. So just be mindful of that if you're doing it outside of contest. Now we're changing the symbols, right? So we're either highlighting or unhighlighting the appropriate one. As you can see, there's symbols on the wall, like there's the worm symbol there. So we'll either highlight it or take the beam of light off of it. And by taking the beam of light off of it in the side rooms or the middle room, it will then allow you to go back to the main puzzle that's there and see whether or not you have the proper one lit up. So again, we're trying to highlight the lies. So the 3 symbols that are the lying stories. So let's listen back into what we're saying in here. Perfect. All right, so we got the worm one lit up. And the reason why we did that is because it said like the Traveler drinks the worm. And we're like, the Traveler drinks the worm? What the heck? We've never heard of anything about that in the lore, so that must be the lie. There's no way the Traveler is drinking a worm, right? So we highlighted those 3 symbols. We're like, that's the lie. We're swapping to our damage loadouts, and we're going in for damage wave number 2 here. Okay, now again, last time I was down below, right? And I was hiding in the shadows, and I had to fight all those enemies. You can see here, this time I'm up top. I don't have to fight those enemies, and I can hide in the shadows nicely with my teammates. So highly recommend that you do that while the shields are melting. The shields are completely gone now. It's time to melt the boss. Obviously got the Queen Breaker on. We got triple arc surge on. That's why I swapped to that loadout. the boss pulls me this way, thankfully I'm able to use my melee to kind of redirect myself back, but obviously it's going to cost me a good amount of damage. The boss went down below and warped over here. The boss is doing all types of crazy stuff. He's tweaking out. This guy he's Frogger hopping everywhere. He's using a strand to pull you in, slamming you, suspending you. He's got some crazy abilities. The ads are spawning in behind us there, and I have to kill them because the div person cannot kill them. And I have, obviously, Consecration Melee, which can explode them all. I didn't end up actually using the Consecration Melee as much as I should have there. I was kind of focused on, like, really solid damage, but in a certain scenario there, if I could redo it, I would, when the ads were behind us, I would use my Consecration Melee to clear them and explode everything, cause those ignitions. So that was the second damage phase. And now we'll move on to the third one here. Let's go. Let's listen in to what we're saying.
Watch those stabbings.
So we're paying attention to the main pillar in the middle there. We're trying to see what story it's telling, which one's the truth, which one's the lie. Hive worship the darkness on the left. That's true.
That should be correct. Hold on, let me check the other one. Witness, no, the other one's the lie. Yeah, the other one's the lie. Witness, kill, pyramid is the lie.
Yep. So it said Hive worship the darkness, right? And that's true on the left. It says the Hive symbol, the worship symbol, and the darkness symbol. That's true. On the right side, it said witness, kill, and it said something else. I can't remember what the last one was, but it was the lie, right? So because we knew that the truth was on the left, and it says the pyramid ships, right? So the witness kills the pyramid ship, the witness kills the pyramid ships is not true. So we know which one was the lie, and that's the right side. So we're gonna light up all three of those symbols, okay? We know that where some of them are at, so we're gonna go locate them down below and figure out where we need to go in order to light them up, deactivate them, whatever it may be. And you can take your time, and I would highly recommend to walk as a team here, keeping your teammates alive as much as possible. You know, whatever healing properties you have, healing nades, everything, and try and get that stuff going. So the other part to know is that the symbols can be activated in the bottom down here. They can also be activated above us where we're at. There's some symbols up there, and then there's ones like we talked about to the left and the right. Now the left and the right ones are protected by the subjugators, but the one up above is not. Like the middle room does not have the subjugators in it. It just has the boss running around and tons of ads. So just be mindful of that. So you have to find out where all the symbols are located. And once you have them all memorized with your whole team, I would go through and walk through all of them and look at all of them and say, this symbol means this, so that way you're all on the same page. Because sometimes you can call something Hive when you meant to say Savathun, you know, something like that, some confusion. The pyramid ship, you know, there's a few different callouts. Even as you hear us calling it out, we give some different names. You know, there's a little bit of misdirection, maybe miscommunication with what the names are, because sometimes people have the names that were given to us by like the official Bungie names, and some people have like their own funny variations of them. Whichever you want to go by, it's fine. Some people named all the symbols after fast food restaurants, for crying out loud. You know, like I can't imagine walking around here and be like, oh yeah, it's Panda Express, but that's what some people do. And if that's what you and your team want to do is name it after Panda Express, that's totally fine, but not for me. But again, just make sure you and your two teammates are on the same page and calling out the symbols, and that they all mean the same thing to you, you know? So it's like, if darkness means darkness to all three of you, walk to that symbol and say, this is the darkness symbol, you know? Make sure everyone's on the same page. So that way you can understand what's going on. And also the lore behind it, you know, Traveler Kill Panda Express might not make as much sense. So you might want to brush up on the proper callouts there, so that way you can actually understand the lore a little bit more. Let's listen in on the last bit here as we push in towards killing the final boss now.
Shoot these. I think it got burned, right? Yeah, it did. Yep. Oh, no, we want it to not be burned, right?
Yeah, that's what we wanted. We wanted to deactivate. We're good.
Okay, we can leave.
Everything should be good.
Careful out here.
Yep. Keep behind the cover. So get out of there, Lucky. Come back to us, come back to us. The boss is there, careful. Head invis. Ready?
Activate, yeah.
Yep.
Activating now. Don't get pulled, don't get pulled.
All right, so when he said he's activating, that means that we had the proper symbols lit up and turned off, so then we just go up to the middle there and activate it. It starts this phase right here that's like the bright light comes out and it's melting the boss's shield off. That's the perfect time to swap your loadout and get ready to put that well down, just like so. I'm gonna hop up here. I'm gonna get all of my surges fully charged up. So I got triple arc surge. The boss is being super cringe and hiding around the corner, but We're going to light him up. We got plenty of Queen Breaker ammo here. Continuously shooting him. As you can see there, it keeps reloading for me, which is actually really awesome. That's a part of the class or the artifact mod. And just like that, we killed the boss. And so hopefully this explanation is helpful to you. You can see there we have the 3 on the left turned off and the 3 on the right turned on. And hopefully this will get you your clear either in contest or outside of contest. Like we said before, if it's in contest, you're going to get the exotic drop guaranteed. All you have to do is claim your triumph. And if it's outside of contest, then you have a chance of getting it. And if you did find this helpful, make sure to subscribe, smash the like button. If there's anything that I messed up throughout this, I'll have a pinned comment explaining any details that might be off. So make sure you read the pinned comment because it will adjust to anything. So that way you know exactly what's going on in this. So this is the Titan build that I was using. It is so ridiculously powerful. I would highly recommend to have it, especially for ad clear, killing majors, staying alive. This build is so powerful for clearing the dungeon. I'll probably make it in a separate video as well because I know a lot of people maybe want to see just this and share this information with y'all, but there's nothing too revolutionary about it. If you've been playing Titan too much, you know, you got consecration going on, but make sure you do have the right stuff on. So the first thing is I had Blade Fury on the first one, so that way when I picked up an orb with Facet of Purpose, I would get Woven Mail, keeping me alive. So I kind of spec into that. So Blade Fury with Facet of Purpose, so that's the synergy there. My thruster, just because you get it back really fast, significantly faster than the Titan wall, and so I can use it to proc various different things. We'll go through that in a moment. Catapult Lift, just for skating, and then Frenzy Blade because you get 3 of them, which really helps for your Consecration Melee. Getting 3 of Consecration Melees is kind of OP. Bungie will probably nerf this, especially after they watch the dungeon clears with this. Next up, we got Glacier Grenade. The only reason why we're using this is to get darkness kills so we can progress our prismatic bar. Now moving on to the next part, we have Knockout, which is so ridiculously powerful. Getting melee kills will heal you. You can use this with Consecration Melee or just your uncharged melee. Sometimes in contest difficulty, it can be difficult to get that melee off. It can be risky, so I usually just focus on doing it with Consecration Melee, but this keeps you alive. Knockout procs health regen. Consecration kills everything, and it does so because this increases the area of effect of your ignitions. Also getting your powered melee hits, i.e. your Consecration melee hits, gives you Radiant to you and nearby allies, so everyone has Radiance. They have the damage buff, plus on top of that, they can break barrier champions, which isn't a big deal in this activity, but in others can be. Facet of Courage is going to increase our solar abilities when anything's affected by a darkness debuff, which could be our Stasis Nade, could be Sever, could be lots of different things, so it just makes the Consecration Melee even more powerful. And then lastly, Facet of Protection is there for keeping you alive. So those are going to be the 5 different fragments you're going to want to use on this build. And then as far as the weapons go, there's a lot of different weapon options. Queenbreaker was huge. In the first encounter, I really enjoyed using a Void Machine Gun. You could use Hammerhead, you could use Commemoration, you could use Corrective Measure. They're all excellent options. Just make sure you have your artifact synergized with it perfectly. I started off with this as my artifact for the first one, and I'll give you a full breakdown of the artifact in a moment here. So we had this on, okay, and then I had my Choir of One on, and then in my kinetic slot, I just had a Tenacious Mastery. So I had double special on, and if I were to run out of special at any point in time, I'd just swap to a primary real quick. Not a big deal. That's why it's fine to just start with double special. It's a lot more advantageous to you because it clears enemies really fast, especially when they're really tanky, in a contest mode dungeon type scenario. So we got this, and this. For the first encounter, this was what I used to clear, and then my mods where I had Void Siphon on instead, but I had a Finder and a Scout. And then just loaders and fastball, nothing too crazy there. And then I also did rotate in sometimes to have heavy-handed to create orbs from those melee kills. It's also very advantageous. On the chest, you're going to adjust based on whatever enemy types are shooting you. So this is for the final boss. I was using this. The boss, they hit you with Strand Slam, they hit you with Solar Weapon, and then they pull you in really close. So that's why I did that. But for each encounter, I would adjust based on what types of enemies you're running into, what they're shooting at you. And then a Scav and a Surge is really, really powerful. And then lastly, we have the Inmost and Syntheseps role of the Titan Exotic class item. And then I also did swap to a Star Eater role in the second encounter, so my super would do a little more damage. So second encounter, speaking of which, I had Twilight Arsenal on. And for my energy weapon, I had the Aberrant Action on. And then for my heavy, I had the Sleeper with the Catalyst, as increased the charge rate. And then in the kinetic slot, I had the Supremacy. It has rewind rounds and kinetic tremors, really powerful. So that's what I was using in encounter number 2 overall. As far as armor is the same. And then in the final encounter, we had the Queen Breaker on. And to pair with the Queen Breaker, we still rocked the Aberrant Action. And then the kinetic slot I had on a multi-mock. And the reason why is because you have to shoot that one wall on the left. And you have to shoot with a bunch of bullets. So the multi-mock is 900 RPM, so it kind of hits a lot of times and really make sure to get that door open. Whereas if I were to shoot it with Tenacious Mastery, you know, it's kind of close to you. This does self-inflicted damage, so I probably would avoid that a little bit. So those are my loadouts. That was everything I was using for all the encounters. And now I'll go down to the artifact and talk about that. Volatile Marksman is working still. The boost doesn't work inside the dungeon, but does still work. So very good for void machine guns, any void weapon. Really good for ad clear. Legend Incarnate, which is making the Vault of Glass weapons do more damage. So my Fatebringer does more damage. Corrective Measure does more damage. Any Vault of Glass weapon that you may have just farmed for with after the rework will do more damage. So it's very helpful there. And then the machine guns are going to do more damage. So we had this one on, very helpful. And then this one is defeating Powerful Taken, loads your weapon with Taken energy. Okay. And then we had this one, which is Disruptor Spike. I'm not sure if this one was as essential for this, but I think we just had to fill in a slot there. But then we have this one, Effects of Exhaust and Sever, lowering the charge output. Didn't see this one as proccing as much. This one's huge though. This is basically just special finisher, creates special ammo a ton. And then we have Maligned Harvest here, and this is really good for void weapons, and same thing with this. And then when it came to the boss time in second encounter, we swapped off of this and swapped to Particle Reconstruction. And then for third encounter, we also swapped to this as well. Like I said before though, it's definitely possible without doing that. But you know, bounty prepping kind of pays off a little bit when it comes to stuff like that. That was my Titan build. We talked about the Warlock builds they had on Cenotaph, and they were swapping to Aeons in the second encounter. And in any other encounter, really doesn't matter what you use as much. You know, you can kind of use a few different things, you know, especially if you have 2 Warlocks, you have a little more freedom. But if you only have 1 Warlock, you might have to be a little more well-centric. But let's wrap on the builds, though. Let's wrap on the guide, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.